Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are meeting me for the first time, my name is Clevy and it is so nice to meet you. Let me ask this question. Who hasn't seen the presidential debate that happened moments ago between Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump? Who watched it? Who didn't watch it? For those who did watch it, if you haven't, please go watch it. For those who did watch it, what were your thoughts? What did you think about the whole of that 90-minute plus debate? And so during the course of this video, of course, you're going to get my whole thoughts played throughout. But you guys, let's quickly check this video. This is from the Black Conservative channel, and this is titled CNBC Host Explodes on ABC Moderators as they face massive backlash for rigging debate against Trump. If you watch that debate, you would know where this title is coming from. So let's dive right into it.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists.
When he uttered those infamous words that there were very fine people on both sides of the protest, including, by extension, very fine people marching with the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
It's interesting, Vivek, because Tulsi says that the former president brought voice to the American people. Did he bring the fire to the feet of Kamala Harris? Did he press her enough on all of her flip-flops?
Well, I think the most important part was that he actually spoke for the 80-plus million Americans, probably 90-plus million Americans, if things go well, that are going to vote for him. But also for many of the Americans who may even disagree with some of his positions. They don't want to stay out of World War III. I think Donald Trump spoke really clearly to the fact that Kamala Harris's words pale in comparison to his actions in securing peace. We were on the brink of war with North Korea, kept us out of it, avoided two major wars that we're now in, Russia, Ukraine, what's going on in the Middle East. And so I think he really landed that. As far as it goes to holding Kamala Harris's feet to the fire, you had muted mics in each direction. That's the job of the moderators, and particularly one of the two moderators I thought did a disastrous job today in feigning fact checks of Donald Trump without remotely even appearing to apply those same standards to Kamala Harris. But I do trust the voters, Trace. They've been tricked by the media before. I think many voters are now attuned to that. And so what we may see is that may actually backfire in a counterintuitive way where people feel like Donald Trump's being set up.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the highly anticipated presidential debate that happened last night between President Trump, Kamala Harris, and ABC News moderators, okay? Because this was a 3v1 debate, and ABC News is getting a whole lot of backlash for rigging the debate against Trump, right? That's essentially what happened, okay? And I personally think that type of overt rigging, which is what we saw during this debate, is going to backfire on Kamala Harris. And that is the main reason why this debate ultimately was a wash. Okay, so I want to talk about it, right? But first, before I get into the ABC moderators and them rigging the debate against Trump, first, I just want to talk about Kamala Harris and her performance, because the mainstream liberal media right now, they're pretending as if Kamala Harris had a stellar performance. That is a lie. Kamala Harris did not have a stellar performance. And there are a few reasons for that. I think one of the main reasons for that is that she just failed to answer basic questions that she was asked by the moderators the whole night, including the first question of the debate about the economy. She just totally sidestepped the question, never answered the question.
Country. Vice President Harris.
Housing. and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to startup small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month.
Yeah, so what you just heard there was Kamala Harris completely avoid answering the question, okay? Are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? She just didn't answer the question, okay? She basically answered the question with a bunch of generic garbage and giveaways on things that she's actually not really going to do.
For homes, do you think it would happen? That's why prices have increased. Government policies, that's the problem. That's what the moderators, they never drill down. Young people, I feel so sorry for you. Really, I do. There's an economic dishonesty going on here.
Let me just ask then, since we're on the topic, Rick, how you feel about tariffs?
You know how I feel about tariffs? It's a bargaining chip. And many of the tariffs with China are still on. Once again, the moderators don't drill down on the two aspects of tariffs, but they do drill down on other areas that make no economic sense whatsoever.
But you don't think the tariffs raise prices? Just as a mathematical economic...
Listen, prices are going up no matter what, Andrew. Whether you do it on the tax side, whether you do it on the tariff side, our policies are silly. We can't be Santa Claus. All those programs aren't policies, they're promises that never get by Congress, and each one of them has a cost we can't afford because we've done this before. When you prepay and you make policies that don't make economic sense, you may think you're getting a benefit. Look at what we learned yesterday. Finally, wages reach 2019, but it doesn't reflect how much they've gone up since 2019. If you're out there and you're a young person, study up. Study up. All these superstars that made recommendations in such a timely fashion yesterday, maybe they don't feel the pain of what's going on, but I feel bad that they can't buy houses and insurance. You think these prices of insurance are going to go down, Andrew? You think people in Florida that could barely hold on to their homes could afford 300% increases in their insurance?
There is no question about that. It's a very true statement.
Right, so why don't we talk about it? Why don't we talk about it?
Well, then there's other issues around climate issues and other things that are affecting things in Florida.
What issues did you learn last night?
It's a longer conversation,
Rick. The vice president's smart and she can memorize that Trump takes the bait, but the ABC people were like a turkey shoot.
Rick, we're going to continue the conversation right now about CPI. I want to get everybody's take on what we're just hearing as it relates to this inflation data.
Okay, she was on a script the whole night. I mean, this woman was so scripted, so fake, that she started to make me uncomfortable watching the debate because her facial expressions that she was making when Trump would say anything were literally the same exact facial expressions throughout the whole night. She literally spent 120 minutes making the same exact weird facial expressions towards anything that Trump says because she was literally coached on acting out during the debate to make it seem like everything that Trump was saying was so ridiculous and that everything that he was saying was a lie and that she shouldn't even be debating him right now. It is beneath her to debate Trump, right? Those are the type of weird facial expressions that she was making the whole night.
First of all, they bought their chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore because of philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But If she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21.
Yeah, optically speaking, Kamala might have lost the debate just based off the obvious fakeness in the script that she was on the whole night, right? There was nothing authentic about Kamala Harris. Actually, I became a lot more concerned about the idea of Kamala Harris being president of the United States, knowing that she's an empty suit, right? I mean, this woman's so stupid, right? She's so mindless that she didn't even realize that what she was doing, her little acting job, was actually backfiring, in the sense that she was talking into the mic, knowing that the mic was cut off. She was talking into the mic, so the audience on television can't hear what she's saying, right? They can read her lips. However, Trump can actually hear what she's saying on stage. So she's basically interrupting him as he's speaking on stage. And Trump, at multiple points in the debate, actually used Kamala's own tactic against her, what she really wanted to do to get her, excuse me, I'm speaking moment, right? Trump actually turned that back around on her because Kamala Harris was too stupid to realize that her fake acting was interrupting Trump as he was speaking, and then Trump put her in her place a couple times, as he should have throughout the debate.
She was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out. Wait a minute, I'm talking now. If you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out in Minnesota.
Yeah, look at her face, right? This is the face of a mindless robot when their programming gets interrupted, right? When Kamala Harris actually got caught on her BS fake acting, right? Trump called her out with her own tactic. She was stunned, okay? Shocked, okay? That's what happened. So with that being said, that leads me to another reason why I think that Kamala Harris did not have a great night, is because it was very obvious that she had a lot of home cooking with this ABC debate, in the sense that she really didn't press Trump that hard, okay? But she didn't have to, because the ABC moderators decided that, hey, we're going to make this a 3v1 debate, okay? And it included a whole lot of fact checks of Trump and no fact checks of Kamala Harris. I mean, it was at the point where Kamala Harris was allowed to lie with impunity about things like, for example, the both sides Charlottesville lie, okay, that Democrats love to tell, that has been thoroughly debunked, okay? She was allowed to lie about that. No fact checking, no pushback whatsoever. She claimed that Project 2025 was Trump's plan. No pushback, no fact checking whatsoever, okay, from the moderators. But yet, these same moderators were fact checking Trump on everything that he said, including sarcasm.
Into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm. Lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it.
Yeah, so apparently David Muir is a mind reader, right? He knows whether or not you're lying about being sarcastic, okay? Which means that he should probably be promoted from Democrat Party propagandist to fortune teller, right? Give me those lottery numbers, okay? I'm just saying, this is what was happening at the debate, and that is a good summary of the whole night. It was really, you know, Trump being fact-checked the whole time, while Kamala Harris was making weird faces and speaking in generalities, right? As, again, the ABC host clearly tried to rig the debate in her favor, okay? And it was rigged not just with the fact checks, but also when it comes to the topics, okay, the way that they addressed Trump, the questions that they asked Trump versus the questions they asked Kamala. It was clearly very one-sided. And I want to play this clip of Megyn Kelly and her take on this, because I think she perfectly summarizes how disgusted a lot of people felt watching ABC clearly rig the debate in favor of Kamala Harris last night. Take a look.
I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly, a special program tonight for you reacting to the debate. It was 3 against 1. It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side. Trump did the best he could under the circumstances, but it really was like 3 fighters in the ring pummeling one opponent. And the worst piece of all of this is the obvious tactic by ABC News, which was as follows. Mr. Trump, you said something incredibly controversial and terrible. Let me remind you of what it was. Do you have any regrets or thoughts on how terrible you were? Trump answers. Vice President Harris, how bad is Trump? And then she'd answer. It happened over and over again. That was the format. Mr. Trump, you're a piece of shit. Kamala Harris, isn't he a shit? Thank you. It was incredible. And then anything Trump said, fact check, fact check, fact check. And their fact checks were full of shit.
Yeah, so that was a perfect summary from Megyn Kelly about what happened with the ABC debate moderators. And again, they're getting a whole lot of backlash here. I mean, President Trump responded this morning on Fox News to some of the accusations against the ABC moderators that they basically rigged the debate in favor of Kamala Harris. And this is what he had to say. Take a look.
100% of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala, 100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating to watch them fact check you and not her when she brought up IVF, when she brought up Project 2025 several times, and when she brought up Charlottesville. Here are some of the lies that she said about you. Listen.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used a lot when people are talking about a bad economy. What's your reaction to why didn't the moderators correct her?
Because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that.
Yeah, so the Kamala campaign immediately after the debate came out and requested a second debate, right? Now they're demanding a second debate, and this is what Trump's response was. Take a look.
Why won't you commit to a second debate with Kamala Harris?
She wants a second debate because she lost tonight very badly. So they immediately called for a second debate because they lost. So we'll, think about that. But she immediately called for a second. Look, we're looking at polls. We're looking at polls. The worst poll that we've had was 71 that I see, 71% to like 24 or 25%.
Yeah, so I think that Trump gave the appropriate response to the proposal for the second debate, considering how the first debate just went, okay? In the sense that Megyn Kelly was right. Republicans should not ever agree to do that again. They should not agree to do these debates with these clearly biased Democrat Party propagandists as moderators, right? In fact, I don't think that Trump should do a second debate unless it is done on Fox News, News Nation, or Newsmax.
Exactly.
That's it. He should not accept another debate under any other circumstances. In fact, he should already come out and say that, yes, I'm willing to do a second debate because this is bait, right? This is what the Kamala campaign is doing. They're putting this out here in order to bait Trump into doing another liberal media debate because we know that Kamala's not going to want to do it on Fox News or any other network. He should say, yes, I want to do a second debate, but it has to be on Fox News, News Nation, or Newsmax. It has to be on a fair network. If we're not going to do it on a fair network, then we're just not going to do it. And that's it. That's it. Especially if the polls are unchanged, right? If there is no movement in the polls, then there really is no reason for Trump to do a second debate, especially on a mainstream liberal media platform. Now, if he starts to decline in the polls significantly, right? Like, for example, let's say that Kamala Harris starts to win with the same margins that Joe Biden was winning with in 2020, then yes, at that point, Trump may have to do another debate. But as long as the polls stay unchanged, right? If this debate doesn't move the needle, which it's likely that it won't, right? I mean, my overall takeaway is that I don't think this is going to move the needle. We will see. But if it does move the needle in Kamala Harris's favor, then that is the only circumstance in which I would even consider doing another debate on a liberal media platform. Now, if the polls stay unchanged or if Trump pulls ahead, then hey, you know, he may not need to do another debate. And if he does another debate, then it has to be on Fox News, News Nation, Newsmax. It cannot be on CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC. It cannot be on any one of those networks. So with that being said, if there is another debate, I will say this. Trump has to perform a lot better in the second debate than he did in this debate. Because although I think that Kamala Harris dropped the ball in multiple ways, she did not have a stellar performance. Trump did not have a stellar performance either. He missed a lot of layups on the economy, on immigration. He was talking way too much. Kamala Harris should have been talking more, right? He should have been questioning Kamala Harris and calling her out on the flip-flops, pressing her harder on her changing her positions and not answering questions throughout the whole debate, right? There were a lot of easy layups. But with that being said, I will say this. Trump had an amazing performance during the abortion conversation. In fact, I've never seen a Republican perform as well as Trump performed when it comes to defending Roe v. Wade being overturned and how this is now a state's issue, okay? And people are voting on it, and the people have a say, and that's it.
I checked out Trump's interview, I think was it after the presidential debate, right still in that place, and he said something. He said this was 3 against 1. And if you would watch that, you would know that is exactly what that debate was. It was like Trump against 3 other people. And it just did not make sense. Real quick, what is the role of a moderator? You were supposed to be unbiased. But the way it was exactly how that lady put it. Trump, you said this, you said that, you said that. Do you regret? Do you feel bad? And then they say something, and then, oh, Harris, is Trump a bad? Like, it just did not make sense. At this point, honestly, second debate is like, To me, there is just something fishy about the second debate. For someone who took so long to even come out and have a solo interview, which never happened, right? We didn't see the solo interview. We saw it with, our running mates. And you even finally setting the date of, like, now calling for a second interview. What are you trying to say again? What are you trying to make up for? Sounds fishy. What are you trying to make up for? And it shouldn't still be with the ABC moderators. Please now. Could be with Fox News. Go there. We would watch it. Go there. At least we know. But it shouldn't be with ABC. It shouldn't. I don't know who called that shot, but I feel like since it is 2 people, if they chose the news network this time around, Trump should. And they should go with Fox News. At least we're getting the undiluted, unbiased opinions over there. You guys, I watched that 90-minute plus debate, and I heard 2 people, trying to say what they want to come and do. And one thing I'd always want, in fact, you remember Trump's closing speech or his closing remark? Why don't you do them now? I mean, you're still in power, so you might as well still do it now. Why do you have to wait again? Why can't you do it now? 3 years in, right? Why didn't you do them? Are you just realizing these things now? What happened? Why didn't you start doing them since? Like, you. What's your opinion? What do you think? And of course, I know this video is already might be over 20 minutes long. But you guys, we just really needed to say this out here. We just really needed to talk on this. And you'll find more on that in the comment section. So I'll see you right there.